Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 14.15. How has the meta evolved with a few changes to junglers, a couple shifts to runes and itemization? Will Rocket Belt and Cosmic Drive change the meta in any way for AP assassins or bruisers? Will Shyvana be nerfed after finally being recognized as strong in a build I released in February? We will go over all the best junglers and more for every single MMR, including low and high. But if you want to stay attuned to the meta and become the best jungler you can be, let me help you. Head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library, special weekly content you'll see nowhere else. All of this available through a premium jungle Discord, which is highly active, a huge community that help each other climb using my jungle program and courses. As we have seen by everybody hitting their peak rank goals in Split 1 and Split 2 of Season 14 as fast as possible. So to climb faster than everybody you know and to jungle div every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg or click the link in the description below. Now here's the thing, you're gonna notice that there is a slight shift in order plus a few new champions on this list. However, Virkayu still sits atop as the king. Do not cope, do not let little changes to Kraken Slay make you think your champion is now gutted. If I didn't tell you about it, you would notice it here and there, but you wouldn't think, oh my goodness, Virkayu is terrible, because he isn't. All it's done is lower the win rate a little bit on that Kraken first rush, and again, if something is the best, if something is by far very strong, and they nerf it a little bit, it doesn't go from very strong to piss useless. It just becomes strong. Kraken and Sundered Sky, Kraken and Trinity Force, you throw in your Wits End buffed, you throw in your Death's Dance buffed, you got your Sterix Gauge third, basically always if you need it, and you have certain Blade of the Ruined King options. I dare you to find a build on Virkayu that doesn't work for the comp you're facing or the comp you're playing with. It's all about your skill issue with your pathing and your jungling. Hone down your jungling, make it work well, and then apply the good items to the good champion. Virkayu does absolutely everything, except be a good husband, but you know that's neither here nor there, because that has nothing to do with you winning LP. Yeah, so it turns out when you shift the meta around a little bit and you nerf items a little bit, people kind of go looking for things. But the one thing you don't really have to look for as Lilia is item diversity. There's a lot of different ways to play this dear son of a bitch. And the most pronounced new version of playing her is an old version of playing her, Liandry's into Rift Maker. The win rate on that greatly supplants that of Blackfire Torch. You want to know why? Well, it's very simple. Because her healing was nerfed slightly, and some people were like, well, that's it, they've nerfed Lilia, she's useless, worse than Volibear in the jungle, C tier, B tier jungler. I don't know what those people are smoking, but it isn't roasted venison, I can tell you that much. Those secondary heal nerfs did absolutely nothing to really affect the greater application of the champion. She was still goated and strong. However, people then realized, well, you know, to supplant the healing or lack thereof on the secondary targets, because primary target healing is still the same, why don't we get some Omnivamp? And why not, you know, add another Haunting guys and maybe some HP to AP damage conversion? Hey, I'm Lilia, I farm just as fast, I heal just as much, I do just as much damage, and I'm more unkillable. Great, there you go, Lilia S tier. See, here's the thing about Shyvana, and this is my problem with Freak and the balancing team in the last 12 months. You cannot petri dish changes. Hey, I've given a 4% nerf to this spell, so I'm going to give a 3% buff to this other spell. That's a 1% nerf. That doesn't work if the one spell that you're buffing is the one spell I use way more than the other spell. By that I mean for Shyvana, they go ahead and nerf the base E damage, they go nerf the damage over time on that E nuke bomb, but then the empower damage on E as a whole gets a 30% total AD percentage buff. Well, if you're playing Shyvana correctly, you weren't running around as base form into an enemy jungler saying, hello, can I fight you now? No, you were farming, sequencing, playing around your ultimate timer, and maximizing that E all-in with Shojin and Liandry's into Riftmaker, or if you want to get Deathcap and Cripple him and so on. Here's the thing, by buffing the bonus AD on the damage over time, I don't care because AP ratio is still the same. By lowering the AP ratios on the nuke bomb of the RE, that's fine. But you just buffed the total AD by 30%, which means Shojin now does a lot more for me, yes, but it just offsets the changes to the Liandry's. Now, all of that being said, this is the problem with balance with Briar and a lot of these champions, that they try and compensate buff while doing nerfs, and it ends up having lateral moves or the nerfs ending up being quite subtle. Now, in this particular case, Shyvana has lost a lot of percentage of win rate. Yes, this is a nerf 100%. She has been brought down, but the build is identical. The win rate is still strong. The champion is still Giga. She's not going to outstat check everybody and just auto win now, and she does have to play a lot more conditionally around her all-in with the ultimate. And yes, those shifts into bonus AD do incentivize you building those items as well, but again, we could have gone about it a bit of a different way. She is still a strong stat checker, still going to nuke people, still going to do everything she was doing before, just with a little bit less power. And obviously the Stridebreaker AD builds are going to have a bit more potency. I'm seeing some Navuri pop up, you got some Blade, So the goal of achieving an AD focus variety, yeah, that's working, but the best build is still to go hybrid and maximize the kit in the best possible way. I'm sure we'll see some changes if those stats continue to rise back up to 51-52%. Don't think they will, but she's still strong. Next up, we have Kha'Zix, the best AD assassin in the game as a default choice and has been for many years. If you would aggregate all of his win percentages across all the patches from Season 11 onward, he would be probably the best out of all AD assassins. Whether or not you like certain runes, he still does provide 4 options in the Conqueror, First Strike, Electrocute, and Dark Harvest. Now, personally, I would basically never go Electrocute. It doesn't perform very well. Conqueror works obviously into certain comps where you need to stay alive a bit more often and you want to stack those AD ratios in those stretched out fights. And then obviously First Strike and Dark Harvest are you best for regular assassin gameplay. All you need to know about Kha'Zix is he does damage, he's slippery, he has an in and out for team fights, and he can control the jungle matchup with ease. Supremely S tier. Hello Hecarim, you got buffed and your W does ridiculous amounts of damage resistance now, even though it has less uptime. That final second is irrelevant. Champion is providing great LP gains for those who use him correctly and build him correctly, efficiently, and powerful. The one thing I want to say to Hecarim players or anyone who wants to pick this up is what I said yesterday in my coaching class in the private Discord. Even if your early game isn't beautiful, even if your early game is beautiful, the key factor for you as Hecarim is that mid-game farming moment. 13, 14 to 20, you start to rinse camps and rotate to all of the chaos very freely. No jungler can match with your rotational speed, very few junglers can match up with your farming tempo speed, and this is where you will slingshot all of your experience into a 1 to 2 level lead if you are playing the champion correctly. Because as enemy teams figure out where they want to position in the mid-game and they're struggling to kind of find that opening, that's when Hecarim thrives, and then you just take over the game. Keep your eyes up and keep your 6 limbs ready to charge. And if you're Nocturne, you're already charging with your ultimate. Overall, there's nothing really truly exciting about the champion. He just farms and plays around 6. His dueling ability thereafter is always good. Obviously, I've mentioned this every single patch now. Lethal Tempo being gone does affect that, but overall, Champ is fine with the PTA Conqueror rune set. Essentially, just don't overthink your lifestyle here. Make the right picks, play around your ultimate, control the objectives. Simple, baseline, boring, stamp collecting jungling. Bring the darkness, get down with the sickness, become instructable, and then do a little bit of a chant. Oh man, K-Mans, look, I love you guys. We've had a lot of views together, we've had a lot of videos together, we've had a lot of total carry guides together. Blue Cane is borderline OP, that's why I'm putting him at the bottom of the SU page of my best junglers tier list. It's a skill issue. Get your 3 lethality items, get Grudge, win games centered around a Hubris. Why am I seeing Ghostblade at a 3 to 4% less win rate of a Hubris being rushed by more people? I have to edit this into the video because Charisma has said the exact same thing in his Reddit post. The champ is centering around a 50% win rate. That's perfect for Kayn. Do not buff him, do not nerf him, let him be. People are then worried about Rast and lethality. Why? We've been doing that for years on the champion. There's not tank meta for us to go drain tanking. He scales obscenely well with lethality and AD. That helps his sustain. Even if you want to be a purist, Eclipse is a fighter item, so go for Eclipse and then you can sleep well at night. Shojin is fantastic. Steric's Gauge is amazing. Black Cleaver is juicy. You've got Death Dance buffs. What more do you want for this champion to become a strong bruiser sustained beast? Nothing. The answer is nothing. All forms of Kayn and base form are thriving. Why? Because again, we're in an experience-based level 6 forming meta where ganking and fighting is still rewarding, which means you're getting your orbs reasonably fast, the runes are good, the page is good, the items are good, the champion is good. All I can tell you, my friends, is you are capable, you are strong, stop finding excuses, channel it within, become the best jungler you can be. Kayn will allow you to reach whatever your rank goals are in this season. And following that, if you have rank goals and play brand, well, good for you, I guess. Let's go over to the A tier page with Master Yi number 1. Yeah, and everybody's gonna be whining about the Kraken Slayer, but you shouldn't be rushing it anyway. If you go second, that win rate looks pretty damn good. We got a buff to Withstand as well, a buff Death's Dance as well. You still got your Rage Blade, you still got your Blade of the Ruin King. Master Yi is looking a lot more primed than he ever has been, but again, you are playing around your econ, your gold per minute, that's the thing you focus on. 80% rule, if I can rotate, and I do get something, I'm going to. Otherwise, I'm focusing on my baseline econ farm, counter jungling, and just getting to that level 11 dominating spike. And now you're wondering, what in the living hell is Amumu doing on this page? Well, he is pretty much a drain tank thing, but with a lot of CC. And also they buffed Abyssal Mask. That item is absolutely insane right now. Oh no, it costs 100 gold more, but does like a gazillion gold more in stats. Oh well, and that's exactly what we're doing, because that amplifies his own damage, everybody else's damage on his team, and he CCs them for 12 years. Wow. Next up we have Graves, and honestly, I thought I would be way more high on Graves this season. Well, at the very least, definitely the split. I thought there was a lot more potency in him, and obviously, pilot skill issue. I mean, we all know Graves represents the capability of the jungler, but the itemization and the way it's worked hasn't really lent himself to become as dominating as I expected. However, he is still a strong, good jungler in the right hands, will destroy you, can be the best in the game, but that's really on the pilot. And are you going to see that or are you not? Play the Graves intelligently, play it well, and you should have success. All we can say about Shaker here is what we've said before, whether you're AP or AD, ensure you do your trickster evil stuff in the early game and do it well. Focus then on catching up with your camp experience and applying a lot of pressure on the enemy jungler, and then use your farming mid-game speed to stay up to date and ahead on everybody in golden experience. Control the game, T your tempo, and end. Udyr is looking just as strong as he has been in the last couple patches, and I refuse to remove him because people find him boring. Hey, he can be boring. A lot of things can be boring, but do you want to win? If you want to enjoy your champion and win, then you gotta have a different rule set. But if you want the best meta champions, then sometimes you just gotta suck it up and say, you know what, Udyr suits my playstyle. I can farm, I can do damage, I can become unkillable, and I can do the killings, and I can control all objectives. Do you want more than that? Do you just want LP? Now, I almost didn't put Diana here because the win rate has dipped a little bit. Yeah, we got the buffs to the cosmic drives and the rocket belts, but that's not really where she's going at the moment. And people still suffer from going in without a way out. So you've got to know your damage profile, you've got to hit your spells, you've got to use the shiftiness of your E reset. You just have to play a little bit more intelligently than back in the day when we had Tank Diana. If you do that properly and you build well and you sequence well, just play around your ultimate, rotate for the free kills, you're gonna have a great time just one-tapping all of the squishies on the map, especially with this many ADCs. Now I put Zac here, but he could easily go way higher, way higher. Why? Because Abyssal Mask buffs. Again, I'm not entirely sure why that exists, but it does. And of course, Cosmic Drive is more HP now, so I'm not necessarily saying you should do that, but there are some Zacs who are rushing Rocket Belt as his item of choice over Liandry's, and now that has way more HP, so Zacs are very happy about that. Overall, the Zacs and the Amumus and the Udyrs and the Nunus, they love building, you know, like a single AP item into tank, maybe having a secondary AP item in there. They do enough damage with enough HP and enough sustain and heal to really bring everything necessary for that class. Raw tanks in the jungle they suck, you know, so that is what it is, but those are your kind of choices if you want to go that direction. And talking about one direction, Xin Zhao has it with a very long W spear poking pencil. It's sharp, it's ferocious, and I'm not going to remove him from this list. The problem is a lot of ganking junglers end up ganking too much and forgetting that farm exists. You still have to farm even as a ganking jungler, but this is not farm, sequence. Gank around your flow, your quadrants, fall back to catch up on your experience during the downtime, make sure you're pressuring objectives, keep the counter jungling up. There's no reason you shouldn't have 7+ CS per minute on a lot of these ganking style junglers with high KP. Now this might fall down to 6, 6.5 depending on the game, and that's absolutely fine, but the goal is not to be 5.55. Then you're not farming enough, then a Karthus and a Brand and shit like this is gonna outscale you just by sequencing. So keep your pressure, keep your sequencing, keep your ganking. Thumbs up. Alright, now we go to the low elo page, and you see Shyvana at the top. Man, those nerfs are brutal. So unplayable now. Definitely want to go AP instead of hybrid. Definitely want to go AD instead of hybrid. Oh no, that's not right. I want to go hybrid. Anyway, Lily, obviously we talked about, Nocturne we talked about. The Briar, the Warwick, and the Volibear are your stat checker non-farming junglers that are dominating low elo because we're elevating their meta a little bit into a bit more activity. Less AFK sequencing mages, and more a little bit, hey, can I try and do stuff to control the game a bit more? When that happens, champions like these, they dominate in the PvP fisting department. However, you should still be farming well. I've got a Briar main, I got a Warwick main in my private Discord, and guess what? I've got them at 7+ CS per minute and high KP. Understanding how to do those things, fuse them together with ganking, equals a strong PvP kit that, while it might fall off in certain degrees, can easily control games to win. And finally, the high elo page, and you're noticing, wow, Viego Nidalee. Yes, Nidalee's still there. Always will been, always has been, always will have been. You've got the Lilia there as well, Kha'Zix and Lee Sin. I just took Lee Sin off of the A tier page. I mean, he's fine enough to go for general people to play, but then I look at the data, and then I'm like, it's not so great. And then I face a Lee Sin, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be, well, that's not so great either. The champion really is just about the best in the world executing on a strong kit that really abuses, well, the strong kit. And most people simply don't farm enough, don't gank enough, and don't have the mechanics and execution to dominate on the champion at the moment. However, he is definitely good. Obviously, you've got the Bel'Veth here. Her win rate for general population has gone down, but in high elo, it is still absolutely goated. So if you're a Bel'Veth main, don't think, oh, you know, they're nerf Kraken. Oh no, it's all over. You're absolutely fine. You can still do it. Nothing wrong with your champion. It's all about how you execute. Now, a lot of the time, you've got things that are great in high elo that don't work in mid and low MMRs for specific reasons. In this case, it's really just a pilot skill issue. No offense. If you can execute on these champions, they will carry you to Diamond. They will carry you to Master Tier. They will carry you maybe to gold if you want to try that, although I don't always recommend it. So, but there you go. Those are the best junglers for you and your chosen skill set. Choose one wisely that suits you and your playstyle. And if you want to learn a little bit about jungle mechanics you've never heard of that can actually help you no matter what champion you play, click the video on your screen right now.